Hello everyone. Today we're going to be taking off the old digitizer of a broken iPad 7th generation and putting on a new one. The first step is to apply heat to every part of the iPad slowly while putting in your pry tool and slowly taking off the glass. This whole process takes quite a while, so you're going to want to be really patient. It's really important that you don't damage any cables inside. A really good trick to know where the cables are on every iPad pretty much that you get is to look at the new digitizer and check where the cables stick out of. And that's how you're going to know where the cables on the new iPad, or the iPad you're working on, you're going to know exactly where those cables lead or where they're going to be. You're going to be able to anticipate them before you run into them. As you can see, I'm using a few different tools. I'm using a playing card, I'm using a pry tool, I'm using tweezers, but most importantly I'm using the heat gun, and that's the main way you're going to be able to remove this glass off the front. One pro tip I do have for you guys is that if you can see on the bottom left, there's a cup that I keep dipping my pry tool into. That's actually isopropyl alcohol, and it makes this job a lot easier. So what I do is just every now and then I dip the pry tool into isopropyl alcohol, then I put it into the side of the screen. It makes this job so much easier because at the same time with the heat, it removes the glue a little easier. Alright, so to the next step, once you have it open, you're going to want to start removing these Phillips head screws. There's 4 of them, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. If you look, I'm removing them slowly, carefully. You don't want to damage that LCD. That's the main goal of this step. Also remember that it's crucial to not leave fingerprints on that LCD. One fingerprint could be a huge headache for you, where you're going to be cleaning it and wiping it and leaving dust on it, and that's just going to look horrible at the end. So just do your best to not leave any fingerprints on it. And the last step was just me removing cables. It's pretty self-explanatory. Some people choose to disconnect the battery, but as long as you turn the iPad off beforehand, you should be perfectly fine. Alright, this next step involves trying to remove the home button from the old LCD and transferring it onto the new one. The steps are pretty self-explanatory. Just apply heat, be very careful with it. Obviously, you don't want to damage this part. Now this part's very important. You're going to want to look at every corner of the iPad to make sure there's no glass or too much glue residue, because that's going to impact you in the long run when you have to put on the new screen and it doesn't sit flat because maybe there's a piece of glass that you left behind. Keep an eye out, clean it thoroughly. This part is always tricky. What you're going to want to do is get the old home button and transfer it onto the new digitizer. It's tricky because you have to hit it almost perfectly on the first try, or your home button isn't going to click that well. Sometimes it has more issues than others. Now it's just simple. Just do all the steps I did backwards and you're going to be good to go. Another pro tip I have, which you guys didn't get to see because it was off screen, is I actually have a air compressor that I use to just blow all the dust off, all the lint that lands on the LCD, and it's gonna look so much better in the end. And now, the moment of truth. Does this digitizer sit flush with the iPad? And it looks like for the most part it's good, except for one little corner which was bumping up. No worries, it's nothing Crazy Glue can't fix.